Alright, everybody, welcome to episode 29 of the podcast. I had to check my phone there because I couldn't remember.
Mate, we're getting up the numbers, mate. It's a belter we've got.
Oh, I tell you what, the man is on fire right now. But he's just come in there, he's like, players are doing nothing, it's all me.
He's swagger than half an hour late like Conor McGregor, mate, you know what I mean?
We're joined tonight by Stewart Maxwell, who my very first junior game I partnered up front at Rob Roy.
Aye.
So, manager of Rob Roy, back there as manager, having a tremendous time. But before we start, as always, shout out to our sponsor McTassos. Same stuff always. Go down and see them at Kelvin Way and at Glasgow Fort. Best food you'll get. Tremendous, and you even get some good part out of Tass as well. But let's get into it. Maxi, how you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Tired for last night, but I'm good.
Mate, what time did you get up the road last night? It's a late one, isn't it?
Believe it or not, the motorway was shut off halfway up the road, and the Coupe de Grace won it, like you're knackered and stuff. In about 11:45, ended up getting.
See when you've won, but
I know you
diversions, you're like, no worries, I'll take it. Diversions.
I know.
3 points in the bag.
But it was a good night, tough night. But as you know, down there it's no easy. But no, we changed the formation and the shape and went a bit against what Rob Roy's done this year and maybe a bit more compact and tried to absorb what they would throw at us, and I thought we'd done really well, stood up to it and got a great result for us.
Keeping a clean sheet there is unbelievable. I know you might not want to go much into it. Here's a quick one, Maxi. I'm going to put you in the spot right for the get-go. Scottish Cup semi-final or that last night, what would you prefer to have won?
I got asked that question
Did
today.
you?
Yep.
Who asked you?
Adam Hope's asked me today.
Did he? Hopey, man.
We get Hope.
He does that with an abacus.
Do you know what, to be honest, right, if they can sit here and be, for me, the club's all about staying in the league, right? Let's be honest, that's the club's objective, but the Holy Grail's the Scottish Junior Cup. It's a really tough one, but to be honest, my heart says Scottish Junior Cup because I know what that could be for the players as an occasion, and I would think they could have a chance of winning it. But for the club's point of view, it's the Premier League. And to be fair, when it all evens itself out, that might be a big result for us last night. Hopefully,
I don't like it with the league.
We'll not get too much in it because we will finish with a good stint on this season in Rob Roy. We're going to go back to the start many moons ago. East Stirling you started with.
Aye.
And I tell you what, it's quite hard to find out much about your time at East Stirling, and then you went to Cambuslang. When was it you were at Cambuslang?
I didn't play much East Stirling, but I was only a kid. I was only a boy. Went in, Hugh McCann was the manager, and I quickly wasn't going to work out for me. East Stirling were a good side at that point. So I got disillusioned a wee bit with it. And believe it or not, I was in between what I was going to be doing and ended up playing on a Tuesday night with a bunch of guys I knew up at Springburn Astro. And just to keep myself ticking over, but every day goes through a phase with football, you're disillusioned, you don't know what's happening. And believe it or not, I didn't go straight to Cambuslang. I got picked up. At that point, I was playing. This guy came up to me, who I'll tell you his name in a minute because you know him really well. He went, "Where have you been?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "Who are you playing me?" And I was like, "I'm not playing with him." I said, "I'm just keeping myself ticking on playing with the guys on a Tuesday night." I went, "You need to come in with me."
Can I say who it is?
Yes.
I've not heard this story, but was it Cotter?
No,
because that just sounds like a pure Cotter thing to do.
No, it's no, and not a
lot
of people know this story. So it was Paul Kelly.
Oh, was that?
Right.
Is that how you first met Paul?
Yep. So that was my relationship with Paul. Paul had took over temporarily at Ashfield. There was only like 5 or 6 games left at the end of the season. So he said, "Come in and help us out." Now it was like back then, midweek games, sort of players. I was 18, 19 at the time. And yeah, streetwise, postal changing room, let's be honest. But some terrific football players in there. Didn't know anything about junior football, totally naive, skinny young boy, went in and done all right, but quickly get thrown about like a ragdoll in a couple of games and took a couple of harsh ones. But in there with Paul, and quickly Paul had seen something in me that he thought, to be honest, I think you're better than this level. And Cambuslang were a right good side at that point. Peter Miller was a manager. And I went down there, and John Fife, who's in the chairman at West Region, his dad Gib Fife was the chairman. And they offered me a deal, and I had a great time at Cambuslang. Really good side, done really well. Played really well. Played up and down the left-hand side. that was where I was either I played like left back, wing back was coming in, then that was the sort of start of the wing back eras, and I played left wing, just up and down, fluctuated, but I had a great time there, done really well as a player. I think I must have played over 100 games from. I wouldn't know the stats, I need to get a Cambuslang historian to tell me, but loved it there. But I got my desire back, and Cambuslang were a good team. Andy Cunningham was, after Peter left, Andy Cunningham was my manager. Great relationship with Andy, still got a great relationship with him. But I got to that point, I was hungry. I was doing really well, and I knew I was doing well, and I knew there was a few clubs sniffing, and I wanted to start winning things. I was eager. We won the League Cup with Cambuslang, beat Shotts, who were a right top side at that point, got promotion in the league, I think, because the league was just going to the Super League at that point. That was in early 2000s, and but I was ambitious, and ended up I got a big money move. It never really worked out for me to Johnson Borough. They were a good side at that point as well. I didn't stay there long. No, through. I wasn't the one who to bounce clubs, but I didn't see them winning anything. And again, I wanted to win things, and I ended up going to Linlithgow, and I had a good wee spell through Nice, won a couple of things through there. Sure, I won the Scottish with Bathgate. I think at that point, when I ended up going to Bathgate, we were 29 games unbeaten. East of Scotland Cup final, Fife and Lothian Scottish Cup final, top of the league. Lost everything.
Aye.
How does it, because that sort of stuff we're going to touch on, I think I've got it down as 27 league games undefeated at Bathgate.
Well, aye, probably right.
How did the move to go to Linlithgow? Because that wasn't something that happened very often, was particularly guys coming from the west to the east. You didn't get a lot of that, and obviously Linlithgow were massive.
Aye, well, I think Jim had done really well there, and at that point, maybe guys remember, like Boris McLaughlin, was it Pollock was there, Shug Kennedy, ex-Shotts midfielder. They were all. There was a wee sort of Jimmy Craney was there, and
I saw his boy
Gary McGrotty was there, ex-Benburb striker. So there was a wee gang for the west. There wasn't a lot of west players went through east at that point, and so Jim had utilised that era, and it was coming to an end. So bizarrely enough, I was getting into Linlithgow in the car park, and I think Boris and that were saying their goodbyes. I think they'd moved to Shettleston, whatever it may be, but he was a great player, Boris. McLaughlin, brilliant player, Pollock midfielder. And I walked in, and Mark Cochran had just left Linlithgow to go senior. So there was a gap wide left. And I walked in the door, and Jim went at me. Jim was just a Jim was in man managed. Jim never took much of the coaching. He went, "Want you to replace Cochran and do the job he done?" I was like, Jesus, Jim, come on. He's been phenomenal for you. Yeah. So I ended up, that was the sort of position I went into. And again, it went all right. Linlithgow, tough coming for this. There was only me, Paddy Flannery. Big John Conley was there for a wee spell. And I think Ryan Jordan had a wee spell there, but nobody seemed to last long.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you feel that you think he's got a bit of different treatment if you were the West Boys and it wasn't quite going?
It was cliquey. It was. I'm being honest. It was cliquey. I felt these boys tried to do you in a wee bit because they were trying to keep themselves in the squad. Because obviously Linlithgow, we were challenging for everything, and you were never going to go to Linlithgow in that area and no challenge for something. And but I just felt boys were doing boys in to keep themselves in the team. And
what you mean, like actually smashing boys at training?
No,
or
just
stitching them up.
Just the way it was. It's hard to explain a bit of everything, if that makes sense. But it wasn't what I was used to. Because at the West we were just yeah, it was what it was. But they played on the East-West thing a wee bit back then. No, probably. I don't think it's like that now because football's changed. But I noticed a bit of that, and it wasn't just. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about a few instances. But we had a right good time there at Linlithgow. Paddy banged the goals in, and I played up the left hand side, and I think we won a couple of cups that year. Finished second in the league. I was a serial sonny, finishing second in the league guy, by the way. If there was medals for that, I'd have to get a truck.
What would you have said, obviously coming for the West, where you've been at Cambuslang and then went to Borough, because I remember the Borough being a big club at that time. Side, what was the quality like in terms of East and West? Because obviously Linlithgow were really good then as well, when they were a top team challenging for the Scottish.
I thought at that point the East was tougher.
Aye,
because Lockheed won the league that year. We finished second. Lockheed were a top side. Linlithgow, Whitburn were a good side. Bonnyrigg Rose, Bathgate. I mean, there was like, even you go down like, so I think who about them, who else was decent? Like Armadale and that were all tough.
Aye.
Oh, they were tough.
Big money through there then, was there no, Maxi?
Big money, but I always felt it didn't matter. Camelon were a good side as well. see when Linlithgow rolled into town, everybody wanted to beat you. There wasn't an easy game.
I remember, obviously there's been similar times that ages and times we were in. I remember thinking that Linlithgow were like the Talbot of the East when I was younger, like when I just started. And I remember
that's probably a good analogy.
I remember going through and playing them with Cumnock in the Scottish, and they scudded as like 5-0, 5-1 or something. And I remember having that feeling about them, like they were a right hardy team, they were a good side. That was always the feeling I had about Linlithgow back then, but obviously it's not quite the same nowadays.
The sort of guys I played with through there was, and I'm still good friends with, like Lee Dare, top player Lee, end up playing Scotland seniors with Lee Dare as well, brilliant player. Danny Smith, Gordon Herd, wee boy Shifo, great player. Greg Watson was there, ex-Aberdeen. We were a top side. A top side. There was good coaches, like Buzz Lamont was a goalie coach, good. Jim was a manager. Jim didn't take much to do with training. If Jim took to train, you were going, oh no, here he comes. You know what I mean? But he knew how to get the best out of players, and he was good at that. But we had Roddy Grant there as a coach, ex-St Johnstone. Yeah. Roddy was a great guy. And it was very similar to Bathgate. It was the coaches, well, he was a manager. But I had like still good pals, me, Alan Lawrence and Paul Jack, ex-Airdrie, brilliant guys. And a lot of my good best pals like Mark Bradley, Wally Wilson, they're still my best mates. We all band of brothers through there, and it was good, tough times, but you had to perform. There was no hiding place. Big, well supported Linlithgow, well ran club, and Bathgate was as well with Willie financing it. But
how did the move come? Because obviously that I'd imagine that'd have been quite a big.
It was a big move. I got a big move there. So basically what happened was I could have probably stayed. Andy Cunningham was coming into Linlithgow as assistant manager, which probably in the long, seeing I think back, that would have benefited me there. And I would have won the Scottish, you know. It's because he won the Scottish that year. And, but I'd played really well against Bathgate the twice we'd played them. And Willie, as usual, you know what I mean? It's like you're a manager, a coach. If you're a manager and a coach, you can always relate to somebody that played in a position you played in. So Willie was a left winger, left footer. Yeah. And he's like, look, great left foot, done really well against us, what to bring you in. And they agreed a fee with Linlithgow, and it was decent money back then, they paid for it. It'd be decent money now, I think, knowing the transfer fee. And
how much was it?
$4,000 maybe, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was running about that. But I remember meeting Willie. I didn't know much about Willie Hill. And he went, look, can I meet you at the showcase at Coat Bridge? And I said, no bother. So I had a red escort at that point. And he went, I'll meet you, I'll pull up my car. So I'm in the car, sitting with a red escort. And it was 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And I'm like, where is he? And I'm like, Willie, I've got probably get the Motorola brick at that point, you know what I mean? The aerial sticking out the window. And I says, Willie, listen, I'm here. All I can see is a red Ferrari. Where are you? And he went, I'm in the red Ferrari. Well, I'll tell you what, my notches, my wage packet just went up a couple. He's sitting in a red Ferrari. And I went, then he came in, great guy, Willie Hill, like really gentleman. And he told me a big plans, the players he was bringing in for seniors. And I've been like, Willie, I've had a great offer for Glenafton. Playing the game, obviously.
Of course.
I mean, can you match that? Well, I'll match it more. So, so ended up, like I say, went in, I'd done, back in the East, the West used to start before the East. To me, I obviously like to get myself fit in that. So I went in and I'd done the pre-season with Ashfield at St Aloysius at Millerson. So Stevie Rank was the manager, Willie was the assistant. And with them, so they were doing like their running session. Now back then pre-season was like 30 weeks long, wasn't it? And you never seen a ball for 10 weeks. So I went, listen, can I come in and do a wee bit, because we're in a wee bit later. I think I was going on holiday and I wanted to get into a big club prepared and battle ready and be as fit as I could. And I can remember doing the running around the park, and I was fit as at that point. I really was. My fitness level really good. I can remember lapping a boy. Who's that boy that I've lapped twice? Oh, that's a boy, Murdy McKinnon, he's in me, isn't he?
That sounds about right, man.
I was like, and then obviously, let's say, Murdy got to know him, he was a great lad. I think Murdy got a bad injury and ended up in the coaching staff with Stevie that early, but obviously I was pal with Stevie and Willie and that, and John Conlon at that point, a good group of people. But I always remember that, the old hard, tough pre-seasons. They don't get that now, so they don't really work
I think there's a place for it though.
There's a place for it.
There's definitely a place for it. I mean, you're like, that's something that people don't know me when I played. That was my big thing, is I had to be. I was fit.
You were fit,
and that was what my game was about, because whatever I lacked, that was what I always tried to make up for it. And I always think that was a really good thing, where you were just flying. I mean, you could get away with a lot of shite if you were fit. You could make mistakes and get back in and all that. So I think there's a place for it.
Aye, definitely. I mean,
you got to get the boys fit, man. Got to get them running.
I think
character
as well,
building.
Exactly.
I think as well, you know, the calibre of changing room you're going into.
Aye.
You're going in there for the West to East at that point in the 2005. It's a big step for me, and obviously, like I say, people do their homework and you can play a bit, but you've got to earn your right. I mean, you've got to earn your reputation in there with some seasoned pros, like I say, like Greg Watson and Danny Smith, and there's Chris McFadden phoning me like.
Is it? Get him on.
It's absolute nuisance, by the way.
Let me answer it, Maxi. Put it up, answer it and wind him up, big Chris.
But I had to be ready, and I wanted to be ready because I was like a bit like yourself, Paul. I was like, I've kept myself fit. I was wanting to do well. I wouldn't say I was the most technically gifted player in the world. Did good left foot. I get better as I got older, but I would give you a battle up and down that line, and that's what it was all about.
And that's a big part of it as well.
I mean, I sacrificed myself for the team. I had no qualms of doing that, and I don't know about yourself playing wide. I thrived on assists. For me, it was good to score. Of course it is, but definitely. I love whipping a ball in and somebody scoring.
Getting on the end of it.
And I remember a lot of that in the East, especially when I played with Bathgate. I played, Willie Wilson played on our side.
That's right.
We Willie scored 9 or 10 goals because I was whipping. He was flying into the back post.
He was another fit player as well, though.
Aye.
It was like Willie was. I remember coming to. Is that him phone again?
No, it's Danny Ferry this time.
What's going on here? What's going on?
I remember.
Maxi better not lose out in our player cause he is. No, I mean I feel terrible.
Up late and he's getting phone calls.
Feel terrible.
I remember when Willie just went to Bathgate, because I remember it was all the talk of money and stuff. Because I'm pals with his younger brother Chris, and we were at Airdrie at the time, and Willie basically dragged me through a lot of reserve games, playing right back when I was right mid. And I remember him going, and we came through to watches, and me, Chris Wilson, and Archie Ross McPherson, we came through to watches in the semis at the Scottish. Firhill, aye. Because I remember that was like the first big junior game I can remember going to. And go back a wee bit in that season, you've obviously had a very successful / unsuccessful season in a sense.
Aye.
What was that season like for you? Because you were touted to basically win everything.
Right, so when I moved to Bathgate now, away from Linlithgow, when I moved to Bathgate, I knew the ambition was there. I knew what Willie's template was. I seen the players that were rolling in the door. I think he tried to get a balance of good junior players at that point with some good ex-seniors. And to be fair, and I'm not just saying it because me and Willie are best of mates, Willie Wilson is probably one of the best guys you could be in a changing room with.
Nice guy, isn't he?
Willie Wilson, Mark Bradley, phenomenal. Honestly, it's people, competitors, teammates, give you everything. And that made it for me. And there was like Sean Sweeney, there was Alan Neil, Graham Love, all top players. And there was Barry Elliott, ex-Celtic. Who else did we have? Jeez, we had so many good players in there. Fraser Love, good seasoned junior player. And I mean, the squad was laden with quality, but we had an unbelievable changing room. Like the changing room, the nights out into Glasgow, it was like Sean Sweeney was just dynamite, Willie Wilson, and then we were all a band of brothers at that point. Like it was playing a Saturday, we were out on a Saturday night, and then we added Stevie Boyack came in at that point as well. Great lad and all. Stevie was great lad. Didn't get himself quite fit. Eddie Annan came in as well. The second half of the season, but we had a fantastic run. I remember going to Linlithgow away, and I think we were about 24, 25 on the spin at that point, and they were doing well. And we sort of knew if we could get through this one, it was like Linlithgow, Bonnyrigg, Whitburn, they were all with a wee phase of games. And I thought if we can get through Linlithgow away undefeated, we'll do all right. And we went 1-0 down. I think Paddy Flanagan actually scored, and he's a bit of going over. And then late on, I've got round the side and whipped one in, and wee Willie's came in at his back post with a header. Brave as anything, wee Willie. And we've got away with a draw. And you could see the air of confidence. It was brewing, and Willie was looking to strengthen. But then I just felt when we get into the sort of second half of the season, there was a lot of boys around side of 30 at that point.
Aye.
And the run of games, because we're still in the East of Scotland, the Fife and Lothians, the Scottish Junior Cup, I could just see the squad was running empty, and then Willie was looking at the younger guys like myself and that were fitter, and it was relying heavily on the sort of younger boys. Big Rory Grant was there as well, big striker. He'd done really well tail end of the season, And then, but we were battling. At that point, at the start of the season, we were blowing teams away, but saying that was battles, and we were just getting over the line, and things were changing. And then we went to the semis of the Junior Cup, and there was a big hullabaloo before the game because he dropped Eddie Anand and Mark Bradley out the squad. For me, shouldn't have dropped Mark Bradley out the squad. For me, would always been my team. But there was politics was starting to get involved at Bathgate at that point, and it was difficult. And we went there and we got an absolute doing for 30 minutes. And who gets sent off them after 30 minutes? Who was it? God, I can see him in another medal strip. I know I've played against him that many times. Anyway, they were terrific. They battered us, and we ended up. We went in extra time. We won it in extra time. Yeah, I thought we made a couple of changes at extra time. Thistle big pitch, as you know, a great support that night. Some crowd, other medal brought phenomenal support, and we got over the line. But the cracks were starting to appear, and but obviously there was a lot of money in that changing room, wages wise. And I just felt that became the driver. It wasn't the driver for me. And I'm not just sitting here saying that as a cliche. Yeah. It wasn't the driver for me. It was about, I wanted to win that Junior Cup. And we go to the final, obviously. And when people that don't know the story of that final actually think, because I like a laugh and a joke, we actually lost a Junior Cup final, a 45-yard header. And I mean, you can't, you have to watch the video.
Stevie Mallon.
So Stevie Mallon's flicked it on. It's bounced. Lovey and Sean Sweeney have collided. It's bounced again. Roscoe the goalie slipped him into the net. It was incredible. I mean, Lee McFay scored the best OG I've ever seen. I mean, me and Liam are good pals. I says, Liam nearly dragged us back in that with a bullet header. Best diving header I've ever seen, especially as an OG. But we made a mistake that year. They went in, we had the Armani suits and all that. And we just,
you did get Armani suits?
Like Willie Hill got his own Armani suit, £1,000 a suit. Aye. So for me...
Still got it?
No, I gave it to wee Mark Bradley. He's now using it as waders. The waders on with the flares because he's too big for his now. No, but looking back, it was great, right? But see now your experience and all that, and you look back and go, that would have spiked a changing room. See if I'm in a Talbot changing room as a manager now, I'd be like, look at them in Armani suits. We've turned up, stayed in the hotel, best of gear and all that. You know what I mean? Because let's say Willie put a lot into it, and no criticism on Willie. Tried to do it right. Bathgate's first final, and then obviously it didn't go to plan. We get beat, and that was the start of an era for the Talbot. Because it was like Colin Spence coming through, Brian Young, Stuart Davidson, good players there, Brian Slavin, you know what I mean, Liam McVeigh. I mean, that was a nucleus.
Was a machine.
Stevie Mallon was a monster.
Stevie, played with Stevie in the seniors again. Stevie was a bull.
I always remember Stevie. Hard as nails, wasn't he?
So that was a start of a successful era for them. And you could see they were a good side. And so that was a Sorian for me personally, and then I'd agreed to stay there another year, and we started off into the season and we looked very decent. And but my oldest son at the time took a vocal seizure when about Christmas, nearly died. So ended up intensive care over the Christmas period and all that. And football obviously took a back seat at that point. He was only 11 at the time, 10, 11, and we thought we lost him, but he survived it. And I went in and I says, look, I went, I've got a wee joke here. I need to be closer to home because obviously travelling through if anything happened, and it just had that in my mind that was playing on. So obviously Rob Roy was in the background. I was probably John Rich at the time, and they were ploughing a bit of money into a top side, but a couple of divisions down at that point. So that sparked me to go home, and then Bathgate won the Junior Cup that year, didn't they again? I think I left on the Junior Cup. So but I left for personal reasons. I left on great terms in that good club as well.
Do you remember your first game?
Of course I do. The Rob Roy.
Aye.
Okay, because are you going to say this? I'll set you up or something.
No, that's the one. He rolled the ball to me. And I hit it for 40 yards.
Kick half me or something, man. He's claiming an assist.
The ball got fired on the tap. I flicked it on, you ran through and scored.
Scored a 30-yarder.
Aye, I flicked it on though.
Aye. Flicked it on anywhere.
Because I never won that many headers, so I don't forget the ones I did win.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if you remember, did you play the week before we played?
No, that was my very first game.
So I'd signed, obviously, and there was a Premier League squad there. When I walked in, like John, ambitious, Rob Roy were ambitious, Paul tell you, there's Gary Cabry, Brian Vaux, some right top players.
Gary was a
Gary Cabry, one of the best I played with. But there's some right good players. So I went in and played Mary Hill in a friendly week before, and I scored. I wasn't a striker, but John was wanting me to play up top because we were struggling. Stuart Golly had just left, another boy, a player, right good player. And I was like, listen, I'll do your turn, because like I said, I was quite quick in that at that point, and we play against Maryhill. I scored in the friendly, and he's like, right, Clydebank, it was a big clash at that point, that level, two of them were going for the league. I can always remember, I couldn't remember your part of it, right, but I can remember me driving the ball, John Richardson shouting, pass, and I hit this rocket. And I tell me, you want me to pass now, John?
Brilliant when he come off.
Great debut after a couple of minutes.
And say it was all about the flick on.
Oh, it was the flick on. It was deft.
It was precision. No, because I remember it was February 2007.
There you go.
February 2007 it was. Because I remember that was obviously saying that was my first game of juniors. So I came from being like a reserve football where nobody went to watch her playing at the 19s with Clyde. And I remember there being like 400, 500 people at the game. It was a big game because we were tapping, they were setting.
That's right.
And I just remember thinking, fuck, this is mental, man. It was brilliant.
I can't believe that was. I get why you remember it. It was your first game. It's a big moment, and I would have never known it was February 2007.
Biggest moment in his career.
But for a young boy coming in that game, it was a great atmosphere.
Oh, brilliant, man. It was great. That was a good team. Like I didn't play a massive amount that year, but trying to earn your reputation. I get that. I was, but see, to be fair, like you said, like Gary Gabriel, that was a very good team.
Phenomenal team.
And it was a good Clydebank team we were up against that year as well.
Top side as well. In the tournament, the next couple of years was a bit of rivalry between Rob Roy and Clydebank because they moved up the leagues together and they went for it again. And Rob Roy won back-to-back league titles when I was there.
Ashfield ended up getting a rivalry with Clydebank there and through a few of the leagues together.
Clydebank have had that, I suppose, with a few teams because of their progression through the leagues. But that year, we won the league. Did we lose in the League Cup? Was it the Evening Times?
They lost the Evening Times. We lost the League
Lanark,
Cup. Was it? Lanark. You remember what happened in the Lanark game?
That's right.
I elbowed the big boy start and knocked him out.
I remember that game.
The big boy Craig Stardo, if you remember him. Big cracking player, Craig. We're playing at Cambuslang and it was getting a bit tousy. Ryan Dees was in the form of his life at that point. Before his ankle break, what a talent Ryan was. Scored a great goal. A bit of a maverick for us, Ryan, but a top talent, great lad. Love Ryan. We were 1-0 up, cruising, to be honest, we were. And the big boy starts going about and he's put a couple through the centre forward. I think it may have been Michael Hughes at that point, I'm not sure, I can't remember. And he's come charging in the arm. Look at me, I'm 5'10" and 6'4". I've got a standing jump. He's come charging towards me. It's at a dugout side at Cambuslang. I mean, he's going to kill me here. I've just went up and smashed him with an elbow. And he's split him from there to there. He's off. I should have, modern day game, it wouldn't be a red card now. You wait 6 months now for that. You know what I mean? The way the football is now. But think that would have turned the game for us. It didn't. It turned the game for him. Ended up losing in penalties. I think they got a goal late on. Lanark were a handy side back then and all. It was hard to beat, but we threw that away, to be honest. I agree with that, Paul. No disrespect to Lanark, but I think we should have won that.
No, it was because I remember I had been on holiday and I came back that day and I didn't get there until 10 minutes after kick-off. And I remember thinking, we're going to win this, we're cruising it. And obviously Maxi fucked it for us. But
I think I scored a penalty when I shoot it. I can't remember.
Nah, see, to be fair,
I don't even know who. I'm genuinely can't remember, and I've got a good memory. I can't remember who. I remember just Ryan Dees, his goal, and I epitomised where Ryan was at that point. It was brilliant for Rob. Ryan could have went. I mean, I was there the day that he got his ankle break at the Ants. But Ryan.
Deezy was playing the 21s. He was at Golden Hill and we were at West Park. We did a wee hang on with him.
Because Deezy would only been about 19 or 20.
He was only a kid.
He was just
a year older than me. I remember the game at the Ants. I'd come off and I was sitting, obviously like the dugouts are kind of on the halfway line there. And he went up for a header with Gary Marshall might have been. He
couldn't. The way he came down between two players, he couldn't get any weight on his ankle because the two legs of the two players were there. His leg went in the middle. And he no weight, and
didn't know what weight was going to go on it.
I was looking right at it, and just seen the bone. I was like, oh,
but see, it's somebody's up for me though, because see when it snapped, like his foot was proper facing the wrong way. And I remember because I played boys club with these when we were 10, so I knew his mum and dad. They were standing behind us, and his mom screamed. And the boy had turned around and had a go at Deezy. Obviously, no realising what happened.
Of course.
And Deezy just looked at him, like, fit facing the wrong way and went, that's what I shouted for. Pointing his ankle, me all that. How the fuck's he no screaming?
It was a tough one because
it's horrible. I mean,
he done well to get back, but
horrible.
I don't think Ryan fulfilled his potential. I think Ryan would have stepped up a stair. Ryan had that wee ability of
a bit of nastiness about him as well, which was
playing
good.
In the hole, and it was a goal scoring midfielder for Midley Park, and you know yourself, they're a carrot themselves, a rarity.
But that was maybe what held him back. It's just that because
I think
he was
I think he done phenomenal to come back, Dak, and he came back and he done well at the level. But I just don't think at that point. I think that curtailed him getting to where I think his potential should have took him.
Yeah,
and it's sad, but it's football, innit? And you just don't know what twist of fate it's going to bring you, is it? Injuries.
Still strutting his stuff down the drum.
He's still doing well. He's got ability, so it's always going to work for him.
That year that we're talking about Daisy doing that was pre-season. He's ended up going and winning the Super First. It was a very successful period. What was it like? Because I'd left by that point when you started winning the good competitions. What was it like that year, knowing that he's were going to go up? Because obviously back-to-back promotions, and Rob Roy was a club on the up at the time.
Mm-hmm. I think that year, I actually don't think I lost one game all year. I think which back then was phenomenal. I think we were a group, and the MD that was coming into the group was adding quality, and John had his playing. John was a bit of a difficult character at points, but he had the ability. He had his winning, and Maxi was beside him, and Big Charlie Spears, and like you say, Rob Roy was not. But I think the players, the quality of the squad was fantastic for that. Now for being the league below, I mean, some of the players, Paul McQuilkin, like I said, highlighted Gary Cabry.
Boy, yeah. What a player. He played for us, Maxi, when he was 40, man, and he was unbelievable.
He was technically a brilliant player.
Me, Maxi, and that used to sit in training and go, how good must he have been in his 20s and all that. But he turns around and says he's probably was better than he's older, like yourself, Maxi.
Honestly, I think players are penny drops, as Paul says. A penny drops, you get older and you lose that immaturity in your game. And you learn how to control yourself a wee bit more, your emotions. We've all got a passion, and you can't control your personality. I played on the edge, that was my personality, and that's how I played on the edge. Maybe wasn't easy on the eye, and people didn't like you for that, but that was the way I had to get the best out of myself. That's just was my personality. Not to say that was your personality, and else. I had to do that to get the best out of me, and it was all about winning for me. And I would do anything to win, and that's what it was like. But as you get older, you learn how to just control things a wee bit more, and you become a better, more mature football player. And I ended up moving positions into the middle of the park, and I wish somebody took a chance early in my career. I think that was my best position, but because you had the left foot syndrome, Scottish football, you get parked out on the left hand side, and that was the way it was, you know. That
was with Diego. He came to us for, I think, only for a few months. He said, I'll help you out at the end of the season. End up staying for a couple of years.
He was a great player for Rob Roy. He went senior off Rob Roy. He went to Dumbarton, I think.
Do you think we are all, Maxi, just how good was Adamsley when you were being successful?
See, for me, Adamsley, I played a couple of school finals at Adamsley because I stayed in Stepsay, and I always remember going there with Steps. We played in the Scottish schools final there, and I always looked at Adamsley and I thought, walked into the gates, I was like, wow, I'm only primary 7 at the time.
Big Bath, not a like
Big Bath, exactly that, the old fashioned me. And they think 30 odd year later I'll be back there as a manager. That wee boy went in there to the Schools Cup final, and it captivated me then. Obviously didn't get much thought as you're growing up, but then you've come back to it, and it was a great theatre of football. I thought a good proper old fashioned ground, non-league ground. And
I know that PG will probably touch on stuff today with the new setup and all that just as we go on, but it was just, I'd imagine it would have been a right good place to be at when you're getting success in the park and the locals all turning up and all that.
See, honest, mate,
atmosphere
go back to the Bath. I remember winning the title, the second one, and the Bath was full of champagne.
Was it?
And do you know what I mean? I know that's but that's the things that you want as a player, an old fashioned Bath run it together. I remember the guys from the evening time in 40s and there's champagne and it's all full of I mean, that's what made you, that's what you loved about football. That's what we've not got anymore. We've not got that. I don't know what's the best word to use, like the sort of,
I think it's quite sterile now, in a sense. Like, I know, like, we will go into it with the setup that Rob Roy are hoping to have, and hopefully everything goes well. And you look at some of the clubs, like for me, Port Glasgow, with that setup they've got, there's other clubs that like looking at where it is very stale. Like
soulless a wee bit, is it?
Aye, because you look at like Ashfield, even though the track kills it a bit, you've got that old feeling for it.
It's old school. When you walk in the building, it's old school. The track kills Ashfield big time because it's too far away for the actual playing surface. But you can still feel the place when you go in. Even the smell. Honestly, mate, it's like a wee, it's not like
Is that why, like...
Not a newness smell anyway, man.
It's funny though, because it's like Adamsley, I remember going in and I always had the same seat, and it was like a school chair, that plastic school chair I sat on, and it's like coming for Clyde where we get changed in the away dressing room, and it was like all the new stuff, nice seats and stuff, and I was like, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Like it was shite in a sense, but I loved it. I thought it was a great feeling about it.
I like that at the Rock.
It was a traditional one. I mean, I used to, obviously when I've managed 1 year there, obviously, and you used to go in the management room on the left, and then there was a wee spiral staircase you could go up, and sometimes if we trained on the park, I would stand up there and watch things, and you just remember it's the memories now. But it's
did you get 1 year there? I wasn't sure how it was. I know that
1 year.
I know that
manager, 20. I went in. If we're going to go into that, I mean, how I went for Petershill area, I got a bad injury in the semi-final against Ashfield, the League Cup, tore my quad. But we'd played Rob Roy 2 weeks prior to that. I obviously got a good relationship with the committee and that and supporters, so it was I kept in touch with them. I knew I wasn't quite well there at that point. I went down with Petershill and I scored, believe it or not, free kick, I remember it. And Petershill beat Rob Roy 4-1. And I was like, something's not right here. Like I could just feel the atmosphere, and with Jimmy Lindsay's team and the committee, I could just feel it was a bit of a knife edge. And then I remember walking out and end of the game, into hospitality, and they used to go up to the Golden Pheasant. That was the sort of Rob Roy pub at that point. And they went, "You want to go up for we'll get a chat and that?" And I went, "I just thought it was up for a chat because I hadn't caught him for a while." I goes, "Aye, well, I'll get you up there, guys." And they said to me, like, "How would you feel about coming in as a manager?" Like totally out the blue, and I'm like, didn't even give that a thought because I was doing great at Petershill. Really was. I thought I was at the end of my road when I went to Petershill. I had 2 great seasons there. Runners up in the league twice. There's my runners up thing again.
I know.
Another runners up.
I don't like keep bringing it up. He does all that. I
can feel his knives getting into
a few scalings came out.
Honestly, I swear that if we Willie will tell you, I had 2 great seasons there. Great season. Won the League Cup. Sure, I played one of the best footballing teams I was in. Blue teams away. Just were unfortunate against a right good Irvine Meadow team, and I think it was Auchinleck with another one. I can't remember. But anyway, we just fell short. But I probably my natural progression with Scott and Willie, because I think that's what I want to do, going to the coaching staff. Maybe a player coach if the next year, depending how I recover for that injury. And then I'd have done the natural progression if I'd bring me. But I'd never ever thought about management. And then I'm one of the guys when I get my bit between my teeth about something, I become determined, especially when football's involved. And I went, well, I've no thought about it. And I says, obviously, Jimmy Lindsay was still in his job at that point. And then I think they had a bad run of results. I remember going to a game, only in the back at because I was injured, and I think they lost 6-0 to Irvine Meadow at home. And I looked at the shed, was where the hardcore was, and what's the Paul tell you when you're doing well down in the shed? Well, I had a great relationship with the boys in the shed, and then I think a wee bit of a rumour had come out that there was a talk of me, but I wasn't there on now. I don't want to standing in a crowd looking for somebody. I didn't know what I was doing genuinely at that point. And then they were playing Persia in the semis of the West, and they sacked them that week. Wrong decision for me. I would know if I'd have let them see it out to the end of the season, but they made the call to, and so I get interviewed for, I think it was, Rob Roy was a good post at that point, but I sort of knew I was getting it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I knew they went through it, but I had that feeling. But and then we got the job, and I brought Paul Ronald in as my assistant at that point. But Paul, good experience and good lad. And then we were just going to sit back, and then they said to us, "Can you take the semi-final against Persia?" And I went, didn't really want to be honest, but what can you do? They've known they're leaderless. And we went in, and the ship was on its already sailed. And to be fair, at that point, Persia had wee Fraser and got a right good player. Rob Roy had a few injuries that day.
Cragsey was people.
Cragsey, the two of them. Two good players, by the way.
They had a good side then.
They had a lot of good players coming through, and they deservedly beat them that day. But Rob Roy did have a few injuries, but there wasn't a great atmosphere, and it was the end of an era, and then the place gets stripped bare. I never had one player. So I came in that next year and had to build an entire new team on no money, because the money had gone over a course of period with John, and whatever was left there, it was minimal. And I didn't know the dynamics until I really got in it, you know.
I was going to say that. Did you know, because obviously there was a bit of money there for a 7 or 8 year period of time. Did you know that the money was gone? Did you speak about budgets when you kind of interviewed, or was
I
that
sort
not
of
mentioned?
I sort of knew it was going to be a shoestring at that point.
So if you don't, what's a shoestring for a club like that at that point?
I would say I would say, I don't know. It's hard to speak on here about budgets and that.
Is hard.
I know it's just
because
so
to be fair, if I speak on here and get a budget and somebody go, well, I've got less than that. That's not.
So relative.
To be honest, I sort of know, and I'm not a big thing on budgets because I'm not a big thing. It brings in quality, right? But you've still got to get the team to win and get the dynamics right. But I know it's not the biggest budget right at that point. At this point, it's no. But I didn't realise my inexperience of the task ahead of me, and you understand this. And I feel for younger managers that have come into the Premier League. I feel for Butch not getting an opportunity to see it out and build. Young Tony Fraser and all started season great and might go down, but I went down my first year. And I sat in my car, true story. I remember we went down in a playoff. We should never have went down right. It was a game we just fell short at the end, and then it was at the two-legged playoff, and we weren't good enough in the playoff. And I remember going up the road that night, and I remember sitting in my car for an hour, phones going, all the people running about me close, phoning me. Didn't want to speak to MD. And I thought, I'm thinking what other people are thinking. I'm sitting going, I'm thinking, I had no experience, that'll be how we'll chuck it. Should never have took a job. Yeah. Was a job too big from just, you know what I mean? I knew all the, you know what, we're living a field culture.
100%, Maxi.
We're living a field culture, that's the facts. And nobody wants you to do well. And I thought, everybody's sitting there going like that, and I thought, right, it's either I chuck it, and that's it, and or else. But that's not me. I thought, I want to do well here. And I remember speaking to Paul the next day, and Paul was really done, and because we had a great start to the season as well, I always remember it. And he went, I can't deal with the next couple of days. And I went, well, I need to deal with it. I need to get players in. And it was a start of an era of Chris Duff, Danny McKenzie, Wally Sawyers. They had their first sort of year was, and I knew that they were going to get better. And we started to bring in better players, and I thought, right, I'm now in the league below. I can walk away. These are things to walk away, innit? These are things I walk away. If they walks away from football, no, I thought, right, I'm going to face this head on, and I'm going to get this team back up. And I got them back up the next year. We've managed to stay in the Premier League ever since. But my point, going back to sitting in that motor, that was a dark hour for me. Do you know what I mean?
I can only imagine, Maxi, because it's...
And I'm sitting there going like that. A lot of people genuinely are phoning in the gutty, but there's people there that...
people laughing, mate.
Aye.
And there's people smiling and happy and all that.
Exactly.
And that's unfortunate.
That's the thing of football. That's
you've mentioned earlier.
There's not enough people, I think, out there that they might send you a message, but it's no sincere. Do you know what I mean? And it's people aren't out there sincere, but at the same time, fair play to you having that determination and that motivation.
I just didn't want to get in. I didn't want to get in it myself, and I'd learned a lot that year. I was dead naive that year. Like I probably could have still played. I mean, looking at it, I could have if my injury was in the bag. Let's say I had a couple of great years at Petersall, was fit, but injury would curtail, and I thought, I can't play. I need to let these young boys, Danny McKenzie, first year in the juniors, Chris Duff, these boys need to play. They need to feel the elation, the highs and the low. I self-taught myself a lot of things with disappointments, but also there was positives in there as well. And I quickly established what my role was going to be at that club. And to be fair, the club backed me 100%, even went down, and they believed in me. They believed that it was they actually said, we've put you in a tough gig here. Because like I say, I didn't have one player going into the Premier League. And I think we won our first 2 or 3 games, I think.
And played the committee, so you could easily get
listen,
rid of
Jerry
a young
Allen,
manager and
Jerry
all.
Allen, at that point, was Jerry Allen, Charlie O'Brien, Jim Black. The guys are all close to me. Obviously, even closer now. We're talking a decade ago. And but I just thought, I've never really spoke about that. I've never spoke about that dark hour I sat in my motor. Well, that was tough for me, Zach. You know what I mean? That was tough.
I know.
Hard times.
That's something we've spoken about to a few managers, and myself and Dak have both managed at amateur level, and it's something I've found quite a lot is see the highs and lows of management so much higher and so much lower than as a player. And you're saying that like you've had the high of getting the job and you're inexperienced. How long did it take you? Like you're saying, Big Paul's saying, "Oh, I can't deal with this for a few days," and you're saying you have to. How long does it take you, even though you've maybe started doing stuff? How long does it take you to get out of that?
For me, it's down to your personality. Eh? I tend to try and move on quickly, but I'm very hard on my sleeve guy. It's just the way I'm. I can't change the way I'm, and I tend to, especially now, I always look at the doomsday scenarios because I've experienced every scenario now as a manager. And like you say, there's not a lot of highs in management. There's plenty of lows. There's that wee, that's why you've got like I mentioned like Tony Fraser and Brian Young. I mean, you're talking about I message like Brian and I've been there. I've been in that position there, and I hope these guys get an opportunity because they've got great potential, and I hope they go and do well next year. Like the younger man, like with the job Stuart Davidson's done at Larks.
I know.
It's phenomenal.
I know.
In a catchment area and a lower budget again. I know that we'll be running about where we're at, but what a job he's done. And I feel old at 45 now as a manager in our league. I think am I probably the second behind Tucker, maybe the longest serving manager.
Aye.
So it's me like, and I'm 45. This manager's now come in the early 30s, and
I know,
and that's just the way. It's a generational thing. Football's changed now, but the fundamentals haven't changed, if that makes...
Yeah.
Aye.
But I just feel that don't keep changing managers. Give guys a chance because
I totally
give them
agree.
a couple of years and they then make the decision that it's not for them or they might turn it around. I turned my situation around, but it would be easy to walk away. Guys walk away from football all the time, players now, and it's easy to walk away.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. All the guys that you're mentioning and like yourself now. You know yourself if it's not working at a club, you'll go yourself because you wouldn't want to sit in a job and your reputation going on the line before you would.
I just felt I was desperate to succeed, and I was going to prove it to myself and forget about everybody else. I was going to prove everybody that I could get to this point, and then I remember sitting with young Chris Duff at that point, old Chris Duff now, he's a dad. And he's like, I don't know if this level's for me. I'm going to go back to camps and whenever. I mean, Chris, you're a fantastic football player. I'd take a Joe Noon.
Yeah.
And he went on to be a great player for me. Great lad as well. Just using that as an example. And
mindsets are all everything.
Honestly, mate, it's just like you've just got to get yourself over that situation quickly, I think, as a manager. But it was going back to what we spoke about off air, I think, earlier about we're going about players' emotions and things, but people forget about, especially managers, like it's all cliche, innit? Team's doing well, it's about the team.
Aye.
Team's doing rubbish, it's a manager's fault. Manager's got a hard gig. And I think now we've evolved, we're non-league football now. It's a big role. It's not just coming out of training and it's a big role you're involved in. A lot of these clubs are community club driven now and they're in the job 7 days a week, so they need to be looked after, managers, their well-being.
That's without, like,
I totally agree with everything you're saying.
It's without, like, I speak to him, obviously he's still involved with Ashfield, where occasionally we talk about things like during the week about things that happen at Ashfield, and his head's always switched on with it, and I know Max is the same, and I was the same with my amateur team. You're saying that you've got all this community stuff, and this season in particular you've had a lot more to deal with the committee as well. But even before all that stuff, being a manager at a part-time club is like being a full-time, it's like a full-time job, because you can't switch off it. I mean, how many times in your work would you be daydreaming, Barry, if I do this at training tonight, or if we have him playing there on Saturday?
I could tell you some unbelievable stories what I've sacrificed for Rob Roy, and people think, no, he's just saying that, but I'm being genuine. I've sacrificed a lot in tenure. I put Rob Roy before my work at points. And
That's what you do, isn't it?
I have, and I've done things that just for the sake of the club and loads of things. And it's not about me, but I don't mean like that. I'm just meaning like that's what I've done. And if I went back now in my experience, I wouldn't have done that. There's a lot of things cost me some things in my private life.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Other things suffer.
Aye. And I look back now and going, should I have done that? But then I go, we'll take the positive. Would there be where I'm now? But there's so many, and that's just Stewart Maxwell's just one of many guys that do that. But
I think that people forget what guys put into clubs, and it's all right, it's fair enough, and ignorance is bliss in a sense, where fans of these clubs, like you said, fans were having a go. Alkinlight fans were having a go at Tucker last night, which to me is almost.
No, I wouldn't say one or two, but
a couple of people saying things like that's almost blasphemy at our level, having a go at him. But you kind of realise that fans, and it's fine because they shouldn't know. They don't realise what guys put in after the park, even players, how much dedication and time. But as a manager or coach, you go to different levels of what you put in for your team. And whether you are completely loyal to the club, and this isn't to review, but whether you're completely loyal to the club, because ultimately you do most of these things for yourself to better your position there, but you still do it, and it's the benefit, you try and benefit the club out of it.
I mean, just touching on Tommy there, Tucker. I mean, I had a good chat with Stephen White at the end of the game last night. We talked about it. Like, I mean, if anybody thinks that, like, the Officer Tucker's been there, 14, 15 years, I think, and unbelievable what he's done. But Stephen White's telling me last night, his enthusiasm still for the game's phenomenal, Maxi. He talks about football all the time. I mean, even at that period that he's been, like I've been at Rob Roy, you've still not lost the enthusiasm at any point. I think that's when you get to a point when you do lose that, then you've got to reevaluate. But it's difficult when you've been at a club like that. This year coming up, next year will be my 10th year as a manager. Like, you hit a landmark as a player if you manage to do that as a player or a manager at any club, and it becomes a big moment in your juncture, whether you're going to go on or whatever. And I'm sure Tommy's been at that point as well. We all can let him points where do you go to the next level? Can you keep it going? And that's you become so attached. I mean, I love Rob. I mean, everybody knows that. I think he doesn't even know if you know me or no. But my feelings for Rob Roy are, it's hard to describe because I've been there for so long. And when you get to that point, it's just you're driven with that. You're driven with a desire and love for a club. I know that sounds a bit common, whatever you want to call it, but that's the truth.
No, but I think for me, as long as it's been, it's like when you think of Talbot, you always think of Tucker. When you think of Rob Roy, you think of Maxi. It's these wee things. These wee things go yin and yang because for as long as we know, for 10 years you've been a manager there and you've had the association there as a player, so these things become that.
It's been a difficult time. Like, you know, just because we're comparing Talbot and Rob Roy. I mean, they're a well-run club, good structure. I mean, that's where the difficulties have been for me, fighting the fire behind the scenes. And pre-COVID, COVID probably saved us, because I remember standing in the West. We got to the West of Scotland Cup final with a great end of the season, beat the Talbot, beat Hurlford at that point with a top side. We got to the final of the West. And if Chris was on the phone or sitting here, he would tell you, in the warm-up of the final, we're doing the warm-up, and I turned around and looked at him, I went, we're in big trouble next year. And he went, what? He went, this is before the game started. He went, we're in big trouble next year. We had a right good starting 11. And I knew that team was coming to the end of its era. And I'd managed to keep them there, but I knew there were boys doing really well that could go and get finances elsewhere. It's always got to that point for me, bringing boys through, and I went, we're in big trouble next year, Chris. And at that point, the final was in June. The season was starting back late July, so it was like 2 weeks to pre-season. And then I think I lost 9 out of the starting 11. And I just looked around at the crowd. I could tell the faces that were there. I went, we're in trouble. And I knew the way players were clever. They were delaying decommitting because they wanted to play in a final. And I get that. I knew I get that back in the first 3 or 4 years of my management. I'm a bit raging with that, but now I'm like, I get it, right? It's just comes with experience, you get on with it. But players were playing a game. But and then I went like that. I went, I don't know if I can build another team here. That'd be the third time I've ripped the sheet up and built another team at that point. And then obviously the season before COVID, I just couldn't get it together. I had no money. I had no time in pre-season. I was bringing in players that I just to try and stopgap it. And obviously COVID kicked in. We'd have been done. And I'd accepted that. I'm honest enough to go, if the powers that be put us down, we deserve to go down, because at that point we're sitting bottom of the league and we just couldn't turn it around. But then that was a sort of point for me, where a crossroad point. Have I done enough here? Could I get another? And I was to kick on, but my relationship with Chairman Neil Anderson's phenomenal. And I wouldn't leave Neil, because I knew the pitch situation, everything that was going on at that point. So obviously COVID stopped the season. Then we came back in. The only ones I've kept is Scott Walker and Danny Harlan. And we came in with all these young boys, but we took the decision to play in the 7 games. But we were training 3 months prior to that. I knew I had to get these boys up to a level. And I knew the experience of how long the league was going to go at that point. It would have gave them experience. And I'm so glad we done that, because that squad's now probably a year on we knew the second half of this season we get better because we could see the progression. I mean, get into this season, like, we lost our first 4 league games.
Aye.
I mean, we were 10 points behind Cumbernauld after 4 games, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we were, I can remember we lost first 3 games, we couldn't quite get it together at the start of the season. We had a terrible pre-season, as in results-wise and injuries. And then Alex Castles, I don't want to play football anymore. Good striker. Sort of put him in banking on me, my number 1 striker. Just walked out and is disappointed in that. So then you're scrambling on our budget. We couldn't quite get it right. And then I remember going down to Troon in the 4th game. We hadn't scored the first 3 games. Lost a couple of tight games.
1-0 to the Bench, 2-0 to Talbot, 1-0 to Clydebank. And
to be fair, we probably could have took a point. Clydebank game should have took a point. 2 teams are poor that day.
I was Liam McGonigal scored that day in his first game back.
A world day hit. I was right behind it. It was like one of the toe pokes that just goes in. It was like, put him in 10 positions like that again.
Aye.
But again, it is what it is. Talbot weren't great. I was talking to White about it last night. We actually played alright for 45 minutes. And then we went down to Benburb. It was just a battle first game of the season. One day, as you know what it's like down there, I think Walker scored an OG right on half time. And then we went down to Troon the 4th game. You get at Rob Roy, when you get everybody looks at me like, committee all look at me when I walk off a park, like looking for the answers, especially if you get beat. And sometimes you're frustrated when you come off and you don't want to be dealing with Maxi will give me the answers. And we scored early at Troon and we end up, we get beat. Probably points in the game we could have won it, but we get beat. But I think we played great the second half. And I'm driving up the road, Chris knows me better than him, and he's looking at me and goes, "What are you thinking?" I need to make some dramatic changes here. I need to get some players in. Because I knew there was a good call there, but I just needed to add the right 3 or 4 players.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to do it quickly. And then we quickly got a couple of boys back for injury and things, and then we went and won 4 in a row. I think did we not lose a goal, Paul?
We beat Kilburnley 1-0, Cumnock 1-0, Blantyre 1-0, and then beat Bonnet 4-2.
Aye. So the big turning point was the Cumnock game. Ian Gold scored in the 90th minute. We deserved to win the game, but that was a big turning point. I felt we had turned the corner. We'd battled it out against a decent side, and I thought, right, we're on the move here. And then we went down to Blantyre, who were decent start of the season as well, scrapped it deservedly again. We just weren't scoring enough goals, and obviously I was lumbered with Alex Castle's problem. It took 3 or 4 months to eradicate that. And then we sort of went peaks and troughs, but we were improving, and then we made a couple of key signings. Boy Dean Cairns in, been phenomenal for us. Ben Daly. Most recently, the last few months, Robbie Young's been
Young was, see that game, I hadn't seen Robbie before, and I'd say to Dak at the Meda game when I came down, when you weren't at that one, and I remember I texted Dak, because Dak knows everybody, so I was like, who's the boy that plays up front with Rob Roy? I didn't know Robbie's name at the time. I was like, what a player he is, man.
I played with his dad, Gordon Young.
Aye,
the assistant manager at Cove Rangers.
Aye, is that his?
That's a bit, by the way, what a brilliant boy as well. And I mean, there's been key signs. I mean, I signed, I don't think you even realize, I signed the boy Roddy Patterson for Petershill. 30 minutes he lasted and got a crucial, horrendous tackle against Irvine Meadow at home and beat them. And in 30 minutes he's not kicked a ball. Reece Murdoch, goalie, he's only played 2 games. I mean, they were all key signs at that point. We've had 2.5 games out of 2 signings.
Aye.
And then obviously, I say we brought in like Robbie Young, but in between that, all these younger boys improved and get better and better. And to be fair, honestly, like the problems that Rob Roy off the pitch have been fun. I mean, I've been battling that. I mean, we've not even got a kit room. We've not got nothing.
It's no base, is it? It's like a base.
I mean, we don't even get the full change room at Cumbernauld. We don't get the use of the manager's room.
Yeah.
So we're actually we're on the change. I mean, I went like that to open the door and the boy around it went, "You're not allowed in there." I'm like, seriously?
Because it's Cumbernauld.
Because it's Cumbernauld. But that's fine. If they want to be, it's up to them. But I'm just stating that how tough, like, and then obviously like the off the pitch problems and everything that's been going on, and I've took that on my shoulders as well, because I need to drive that. And then obviously the stuff that's went on with the petitions and
that's stuff I'm going to finish on talking about kind of what's happening and where these are hoping to go. We've done a wee bit of detail about this season. We've I don't know if you watch the roundup much or anything, but
I do watch it.
We have been...
He does, because he's like me, he's got it wrong and all that.
I like to correct your stats.
Correct the
I'm a stat old man.
By the way.
No, I only do it when I'm watching. I correct these to myself. I give that a text. He's got that wrong.
Text saying here, these fucking, that doughball's got it wrong again.
What I would say though is, to us, you looked like you were in big trouble maybe a few months back. Where is the change come from? Because yourselves, Largs and Glenafton, the form for the three years outside Darvel has been the best in the league. Like you mentioned there, the younger players are maybe getting to do what you're wanting them to do. They've been building together. What do you think's been a big change? Because your form has been nothing short of excellent in the last couple of months.
See, to be honest, like, see for the turn of the year, like, even look at the games we've lost. We lost 3-2 to Troon. Troon were down to 10 men. And we lost 2 goals in 8 minutes. A game we should never have lost. Maybe minimum should have got a draw. Lost to Kilwinning when we were in top. Lost a penalty shootout when we were 2-0 in the 89th minute. And the game, even Michael Kennelty against Darvel, the game at 2-1 at Cumbernauld could have went either way in the second half. I mean, in Rossville, we lost to Rossville, they were down to 10 men. So even if you look at any that's the defeats we've had, in the Talbot, the same as the Junior Cup, we were really, really good. So we've not been turned over really royally for the turn of the year. I think for me, talking to a couple of managers recently about numbers at training, we get 28 training every session. Our numbers, this is the best group I've worked with. And I'll probably get a few texts off of boys that have played in a couple of right good teams I've had. But I mean, the best group as in they're progressive. I mean, like, so I've played my 2017-18 team at runners up in the league, were a top side. But this group, a lot of them are a wee bit more established players. Where these boys are making their way in the game, they're a great group. And I think that was epitomised last night, because I'm no one for going on and commenting things, as you know, but I look at everything and I look at everybody's opinions, and I think I heard a comment last night, somebody, just a neutral, says you could see the team spirit in Rob Roy, and that was epitomised last night. The fight, as I said, my chat at the end of the game was, these are fighting for this club and fighting for yourselves, and that
one of your players texted me yesterday afternoon, and he says 2-0 to us tonight, and I was like, alright, okay. He says, no, I guarantee we'll win tonight. And that maybe just epitomises.
To be honest, he had more optimism than me.
Well, he was
Isn't he far off, was he?
He was certain when he texted me. He says, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I promise you we'll beat them tonight.
I just think the boys have been outstanding, and
I just think it's a spirit.
Getting to sit and talk to you and realise, like, I know how I for the outside and how much I love this level of football, and getting back to the junior football, I've always known how brilliant a job you've done, but to realise that you've basically been through rebuilt 3 teams in the space of 10 years and still maintained that consistent levels is unbelievable. How's he all these young boys, Maxi? I'm not going to ask for a secret recipe, but is it contacts or do you think now that you're building a reputation where there is boys out there saying, I want to play for Maxi because I think he's going to develop my game in that, and his coaching staff will develop me?
I think we pick up a lot of boys that have had knocks at either a higher level or a bigger club in Rob Roy, and we try and get them in and get them game time, and it can be frustrating. Like, you're barting a lot of basic instructions on at points, but I like to think that any younger players that are maybe not quite playing it, when they're looking for a move and we've spoke to them, they look at what we've tried to achieve here and try to bring boys through. But I mean, it's a credit. They're a credit to themselves. I said to them, this is all about yous. We're just here to steer the ship and guide yous. But yous have done this. I mean, listen, yous run a podcast. Yous are here to give your opinion. And let's go back to the start of the season. We were away, and everybody's not just yous, but if you look at the others, we were away in everybody's thoughts, and I agree with that. I genuinely did, because you look at Rob Roy with the situation they're in, but we've sort of tried to say to them, look, you've just keep improving and keep learning, but we're fit. I think we're one of the fittest teams in the league, my opinion.
I thought that when I came down against the Meda, that I thought the Meda were maybe very close, but they maybe edged it the first half. The second half, you just kept going at them, and obviously you see the amount of goals he scored at the end. You know what I mean? He ended up scoring a few goals in the second half, and it showed that he's worth it.
That sums up how good a job you've done, Maxi, right? And because with the 7 going down, everybody hedges is goners.
Gone.
And then there's some people new, and I know that you say it's still done. I still think
It's
they're
not-
probably
it's
a one or two
genuinely
just
done.
to make sure
It's done, but
right. I still think
It's not done for me.
Aye, and
but can it be done
and
for
I
you?
agree, and I agree.
To
And
be honest, right, our chat last night, and again, I'm open about it. I think we need another point. But if we could incredibly go and win 3 games, you could finish 6th in the league, joint 5th.
Aye, behind
with
Cowan and goal
I mean,
difference,
that's how tight the league. It's insane, the league. But
unreal.
But I mean, end of the day,
Because I thought Beeve were all right until
they're below you.
Because when they beat Bonington, I thought that was enough for them, and it's kind of.
do you know what?
So it's very tight.
I think it's a unusual season. I remember I had a big squad at start season. Came out, he's like to me, "Oh, you've got a big squad." I went, "Well, it's 38 league games. Nobody's experienced that. Be ground share. We're always behind in games, and that squad served me well because last night I brought Callum Scott in at 17-year-old, who I've had him at loan, outstanding. I brought in obviously the boys I'm looking at for next year as well, who have done really well. I had young Jack Gordon in there at 19. These are all younger boys, and we've needed now number 16, 17, 18 that maybe not played as much because teams are on their knees.
Yeah.
Teams that we've had a tougher schedule as MD. You know, if you look at the teams we've played, so we've had that, and we've kept a good nucleus of that squad, and that's served as well through the period as well. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's been, like you said there, something me and him have spoken about. You could potentially be finishing tied 5th after looking like you were in danger. I think you're only one win away from it being.
Well, my point being, we're no safe yet. But my point I mentioned that was you could go down, but you could finish.
Aye.
You could finish tied 5th. That's how cutthroat this next
and
the league is.
I mentioned it on the thing with the roundup last week. When would you ever hear a team's getting 52 points and 50 points and still get relegated out of a league?
If I take myself back, I get asked a couple of times what I thought the points total. Obviously, we're going back to the start of the season. I generally thought it'd be about 46.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was talking to like we obviously played Ben Bob last week, and there's no coincidence they've done so well for me with Derek Rodden getting in the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal coach, worked with him in my B licence, great coach, and Paul's got the passion, but Derek's the guy behind it's got the structure. And talking to him today, and I went, we were just talking about it, you could actually get him with 52 points, and that's a decent season.
Well, looking at it,
he said you've won more. Teams that could won more than half of their games that they've played, or something, and still good in.
You're looking at it right. So Bonington are relegated, Blantyre relegated, Rossvale and Kilburn both relegated. Cumbernauld technically can stay up if they win the last 5 games, but that takes them to 48 points. But they'd need Glenafton and Largs to lose the remainder of their games as well, which probably isn't going to happen.
No.
So you could be looking at 50. Let's see, Glencairn 49 points. I think if Glencairn don't, like, you've got them on Saturday, which by the time this is released, it'll have been Saturday past. If you beat them, they've got 1 game left. 49 points won't be enough.
No,
it won't be enough.
I mean, because obviously Saturday's not been yet by the time it's released. If we did win that, we're safe because I think we go above Ben Bub and Kincat. So there's the 7 teams minimum below us.
Yeah.
But it's insane. It can just
some game on Saturday, man.
I think it's shaping up where nerves and that'll be.
There's a lot of stake.
There's a lot of stake. And I think their last game's away to Pollock.
You look at your last 3 games: Glencairn away, Hurlford at home, and Largs at home. Now, I'm saying you're safe, right? But if you lose to Glencairn and then lose to Hurlford, you're right in it, and then you could have a shoot off with Largs on the last day.
Of course you could, mate.
And Largs.
That's why I'm saying it's not over.
The big thing is with Largs as well for me, which I noticed earlier when I was doing this league table. Largs have scored 72 goals this season.
What a job Arnie's done. But the flip side is they've got us away. They've got Glenafton at home, which is the tune. And they've got Clydebank at home, and Clydebank's done really well.
Form now.
But they've done really well away from home park. I think their home park record's been great, but they've been really, really good away from home. And I think Clydebank will be trying to hunt down
Pollock. They've still got aspirations.
And to be fair, I think they're still in the West as well. So my point being that they're not going down to Largs. No, they're going to go Largs. All right, we're just going to go over. Clydebank will be a tough game for them.
I'm off on that one.
And then Glenafton's obviously a tough game because the 2 are going to go at it. But that's on Wednesday night. I think they've got Wednesday night, they've got Glenafton, Saturday they've got Clydebank. And then they come to us the following week. And then, but I say, there's a few more twists and turns, but
how you sleeping at night, man? Because it's mad, innit?
Mate, I've see when Paul's going through that, I've got every scenario. I can sit
here
and tell you every scenario.
But you do that, didn't you? As a manager or a coach, you think,
talking about Beef as well being in the mix. I mean, Beef go to Cumbernauld on Wednesday night, and then their last game's away to Glenafton. So Glenafton they've got a big say in what's going on, but they've got a tough run of games coming up now as well, where it's going to be
6 games they've got.
And even like Beef going to Cumbernauld, a tough team to beat up there on that surface.
They done a good result last night.
I think they were unlucky not to win the game for what I hear, but there's a few twists and turns. But listen, after our start to the season, after losing the first 4 games, to be sitting here and saying we've got a great opportunity, I'd have took that. So we've got a chance.
The fact that you know that you need 3 points out of the last 9 games to pretty much solidify yourself in the Premier League, that is a position you'd have been happy to be in. But look, we could talk about this on it.
Of course we could.
Because I love this.
What's happening with the Hingway quickly? What's happening? Are you going to that?
No, that's what we're far away.
New stadium. What's developments for anybody out there that doesn't know, or where is it sitting?
Where the new stadium's at? It's election day.
Aye.
So obviously it could be the status quo, or it could be the new co, whoever comes in.
What's better for you?
To be honest, I asked Neil that today. Neil's unsure because we've had meetings. I've personally had meetings with I've sat with Amy Callan, MSP and their group, and I've sat with the Lib Dems, I've sat with the Conservatives. Everybody's saying the right things, and everybody's saying they want to bring Rob Roy home. A couple of them have said about the council want to run it. We want to run it ourselves because we've got a programme, we've done all the business plan, and we've got everything lined up to go and do it and drive the project. So again, and it's no having a go at them, I just feel like we're all talking, politicians can talk, but deliver and give us opportunity. We've got to sail Adamsley through now. Me and Neil managed to force that through because that was getting delayed for whatever reason, but we managed to get that instigated. So we've got the money in the bank for that. So that's sitting there. That'll be invested into us running costs. Obviously, you'll have rent and everything else to get us up and running. So we're ready to go, and we just want that opportunity for the community as well. We've done so much in the community with mental health and Dynamic Boys clubs and any other groups. We've got loads going on, but we can't really implement it until this kicks. And it's been frustrating because I'll drive that for the next few number of years, hopefully. And the talent in that area is phenomenal. Some of the young boys come through and it gives them all coming through the door. It gives them all a template to write. This is where you get your progression points and to get to the first team. If you're better than Rob Roy's first team, you'll be a non-league team. Could be a long league team. You never know. Then you go and you kick on to make a full-time career at it, but you're giving the kids of the area a pathway and you're bringing the community together to watch the games, and everybody will meet everybody at that level. So if somebody comes through the door and he's 5 and the parents come through the door, come and meet me and show them the pathways of going through and where you hope your boy can play. And then you get that personal feeling and people look at you and go, I know him. You know what I mean?
Site, have they got a site?
It's already, it'll be open in October. It's ready to open. October it'll be open. It's all the foundations are down and we're ready to go. We're just desperate. The club deserves it, and the good guys at that club deserve it, and the supporters deserve it, and the community deserve it as well.
Proof's in the name, Maxi. It's Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. He should be back playing in Kirkintilloch.
That that way.
No, I mean, and that's as simple as I think it should be made.
Horrible feeling. It'll sit with me, and I'm hoping I'm wrong that there's nothing that's going to derail us, but. We've got the funds, we've got the business plan, we've got the name, and we've got the support. And I think what we've done the last few months has really accelerated and ignited people's backing of us, because it went a wee bit stale now. I decided to open the can of worms again because I knew it was getting to the last chance saloon here. And
is it as bad if it doesn't go through? That's it done?
I would say it'd be very, very tough. I would say it'd be very, very tough for Rob Roy.
Well, look,
and that's sad taste.
Horrible for 140 years, 44 years,
78.
144 years.
Yeah.
Look, I appreciate that in terms of things that we can't do a great deal, but if there's ever anything that we can do that the club need help, we'll always see it as well.
Within this non-league community, but I think now the fights now got to the point where we don't need them. We just need. It's great. You had great support for a lot of clubs and yourselves and that, and podcasts and whatever it can be, but it's now on the council's door, and the council know what the club want. We've had the meetings, and we know what we want to do. We just want the opportunity to bring our club back home. We've been at Excel for nearly 10 years. It's not acceptable now, And there's been mistakes at the Rob Roy end, and we can't change that. But we've come in, especially Neil's come in the last 5 years, and obviously myself driving it as well. And we've done everything we can right, and we're just wanting that opportunity. And if we get it, it'll be great because it'll be so community based, like everybody's trying to do. And it's proper non-league football now. It's like the way it is in England. Every community's behind the team. I mean, you want to try and take people away from Rangers and Celtic now in areas like Kirkintillet and that, and come and support your local team.
Affordable football,
and it's good at that, and it's honest. Yeah, and there's no religious attachments to it.
Yeah,
it's all about the community, and that's what all the clubs are trying to do. Irvine Meadow, Darvel, Clydebank, they're all trying to do it. Kilwinning, great setup. This is the way forward. Just unfortunate for me. Junior football held us back. We should be 10 years further on than we should be at. We should have been involved in the Lone League for the start, and there wouldn't be this big war that's going on. And that's because I've been there. I know when it all came out at the start, it was SFA driven, and the kingdom of junior football didn't want MD to come in to open the doors to MD, and I think that's held it back. And I mean, our West of Scotland league's a phenomenal league.
I'd say
phenomenal league.
It makes the Lowland League looks like a mockery almost compared to the way the West is for me, and it's been ridiculous. But look, we're running out of time. Go get used to up the road to watch the Rangers play against Leipzig. So Maxi, we really appreciate it, mate. Been excellent. Really enjoyed the chat. Thanks for joining us.
Producing the goods in the park. Nearly coming up for 10 years at the club. Meetings with councillors, everything like that. All the work in the background. What a job you're doing, Maxi. We wish you all the best, and I appreciate you coming in. Keep the good work up, mate.
Thanks, mate. And thanks everybody for watching. As always, like the episode, subscribe to the channel, and leave a wee comment if you feel like it.
Stop phoning him when he's on a podcast, mate. Know what I mean? Maybe we shared a dressing room at the Rock. How's my old teammate on the couch here? These two are sitting here and just leaving it about them, know what I mean? So you give me a wee shout, Chris, we'll get a wee chat.
Thanks for coming tonight, Dak. Right, cheers everybody. See you later.